Hello Year 10, this is Miss Rowe and this is a video on P4 Part 2. So last video we went over the types of barriers to accessing health and social care, but now we're going to go over the overcoming these barriers. Okay, so first section, just to remind us from last PowerPoint, explain how three barriers to accessing health and social services may be overcome. This is P4. So we talked about the barriers in last vid. Now we're going to talk about overcoming them. I've added the culture keyword as well, which is influenced by traditions, custom beliefs or values held, because you might not have come across that before. So, overcoming communication barriers. So, for this section, we're thinking providing leaflets, information in a variety of formats such as large print or braille, making sure your staff are trained in BSL or British Sign Language. Also, Makaton. If you've not heard of Makaton, it's just the use of speech, gestures and pictures to communicate. So this is normally used sometimes in nurseries. So it's if they have problems with learning and communication skills, then obviously it's a nice easy way of communicating with someone. Installing a hearing loop. Now if you go to some of the hospitals and even some schools, they can actually turn on the hearing loop. So you just have to turn your hearing aid to a certain position, and then it basically is a sound system which helps people with hearing aids, which provides a wireless signal that is picked up by the hearing aid itself, so it helps a person wearing it. Next is offering access to a translator. So obviously if you can't speak English, you need assistance to be able to interpret or translate. Next section, we think about vocabulary. So you have to make sure that you avoid jargon, explain certain terminology, make it nice and simple for people to read, use age-appropriate vocabulary, simplified language for young children or individuals with learning disabilities, but also for people with dementia. That's another important one. You must use communication that is appropriate to the individual. So use positive body language like nodding, agreeing, making eye contact. Avoid sarcasm. Don't talk down to the person. Be polite. Just make the service user feel that they are being taken seriously when you're talking to them. Be patient, because obviously it's what they're trying to explain is coming from their views or beliefs, so they might be different to yours. So you just have to be patient when you're listening, especially when they're repeating over and over again. Listen to the individual's needs. So use active listening by demonstrating interest in response to what the person is saying. So use appropriate body language to show positive reactions to what they're saying. Ask the individual rather than assuming you know what they want. So just listen to what they're saying and concentrate on what the individual is saying, because obviously it makes more sense when you're actually listening, so you can communicate their needs. So next section is overcoming cultural values and beliefs. So to overcome that, it could be organising campaigns to raise awareness, to change attitudes, train staff to have positive attitudes on different culture values and beliefs, ensure that appropriate numbers of female and male staff are available to meet cultural requirements, obviously employ a range of staff to reflect the local population, and provide a range of dietary requirements, so vegan, vegetarian, halal and kosher. That's important too. Overcoming cost barriers. Well, with cost, we talked about whereabouts are they from, what is the issue with cost, do they want to go private but they can't afford it, or is it they'd rather use the NHS but the waiting list might be too far in future, etc. So provide people with information. Another one with cost barriers could be provide free car parking for the service users. I know that Blackpool Victoria Hospital, you have to pay for it, but other hospitals I've been to, say Preston, might have a section where you actually can have a free car parking if it's under a couple of hours, for example, or just make it cheaper. That's another, obviously, way to overcome cost barriers. Or providing free transport, so to have a minibus that collects from around the local area, that'd help quite a lot for people to overcome issues with cost. Overcoming location barriers, so you can obviously provide outreach services, which is something you looked at in P1 and P2. So home visits, mobile surgeries or clinics, so you actually visit people at home. Provide a bus that take services to more of the rural areas, so that means everyone is seen, or even obviously elderly and those with mobility problems. Set up a volunteer driver service to and from the care setting, so that's another way to get everyone in the same place to be seen. Use an online prescription order and delivery service, so that would overcome location barriers. Physical access barriers, so providing disabled car parking spaces, providing adapted toilets for those in wheelchairs, ensuring that there's braille on the lift or in, as soon as they get in to the actual building, or have a talking instruction button that they can listen to. Make sure that there is ramps, wider doorways for wheelchairs, a lower height for the desks, so you can actually obviously they can look over the desk and talk to those at reception. Overcoming psychological barriers, provide counselling, providing more information to reduce anxiety, hold open days to reduce fear of the unknown, which is what we said in the last video about going to the dentist. Some people are terrified of going to the dentist, so holding open days so people can actually see what equipment's being used and things like that and meet the team, that helps. Having information, campaign leaflets, so people know what to expect when they go to the dentist or when they go to doctors. And I think the last one is time barrier. So extending opening hours for GP surgeries. We said that sometimes GP surgeries or certain clinics are only open during working hours. Well, it crosses over with the cost, doesn't it? Because people don't want to have a day off work just to go to the hospital or to go to the doctors. They want to be able to go at 6 p.m, 7 p.m, or after work. Overcoming time, so offering flexible appointment times to suit individual needs. That's perfect. And what I was talking about, and using technology for appointments, so using Skype and video calling or telephone appointments. So that means, like, if, for example, we need to go to Manchester quite frequently for an appointment with a certain department, well, instead they could ring us every 6 weeks instead of us having to, jump on the train or drive there. So all these are ways to overcome the various barriers. And that's it. See you in class.
It's in this.
Wait.